Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to Muslim Network TV. We hope you are doing well. Today, we're going to be discussing the situation in Pakistan. This is obviously very important, not only to the people of Pakistan, but the Pakistani American diaspora and American Muslims in general, because of the important role that Pakistan plays in the global Ummah. To learn about what's happening on the ground in Pakistan since the arrest of Imran Khan, I want to bring on our special guest, Raza Rumi, who is a well known journalist and policy analyst. Thank you so much for joining us, Raza. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Thank you for joining us. So, I want to start with a very simple question. What's the latest in Pakistan? What has happened in the past few days that has caused such an uproar in the country and concern all around the world?
As you know, yesterday was a really traumatic day for Pakistan because not so much that any extraordinary event happened. You know, politicians are usually booked in cases and arrested. I mean, that's been Pakistan's history. But former Prime Minister Imran Khan was sort of arrested in a high-handed manner from the premises of a court in Islamabad, and later on his supporters took to streets and protested all over the country, and in doing so they started targeting the military installations, military buildings, the house of the corps commander in Lahore, the general headquarters, which is the sort of bastion of Pakistan, of power in Pakistan. And these were unusual, extraordinary scenes, and there were many violent attacks as well. The house that I mentioned of a senior general was set ablaze. The building of Radio Pakistan in Peshawar was also torched, and many checkposts, security checkposts, were burnt down. And so this obviously led to a lot of tension, a lot of counterattack by the law enforcement authorities. You know, dozens have been injured, at least six have died as of now, and so it's been pretty, violent and unfortunate time, in short.
So, what is the government's response to all this been? Because they've been heavily criticized for the way Mr. Khan was arrested. The military is now coming under criticism as well. What's the government's response to this been? And what about Mr. Khan? Has he said anything since he's been detained? Or his supporters? What are they calling for? What are the two sides saying now? What do they want to happen next?
Yeah, so the government, Mr. Khan was arrested by the National Accountability Bureau on a case of corruption, alleged corruption, and the government is actually part and parcel of this whole process. I mean, they've been wanting to arrest Mr. Khan for some time. He's their chief foe, and Mr. Khan, since he left office last year, has also become extremely popular in Pakistan. You know, he is certainly the most popular politician, and his party is all set to win the election. And he's been demanding early, quick snap polls, while the government of the day has been sort of trying to delay that. And that is where the real tension between the two sides has emerged. But now, what the government says is, well, you know, the law should take its own course. The courts will give him relief. Today, Mr. Khan was sent on an 8 day long remand, physical remand, to the National Accountability Bureau, which means that unless courts give him bail, he will remain arrested for another week. But today, after yesterday's incidents, the Pakistan military also issued a very strong press release, uh, in which they were saying that, you know, this is unprecedented. We are not going to take this lying down, and basically they kind of threatened Mr. Khan and his party of consequences. So this is where things are, head-on collision, standoff, leading to even more political uncertainty and its impact on Pakistan's economy.
Here in the United States, I know the Pakistani American community is very concerned about what's happening. Many of them, from my understanding, sympathetic to former Prime Minister Khan and concerned about corruption in the country. There's a lot of concern about the United States and what role our country is or is not playing in what's happening. What is that something that's on people's mind? I've heard some conspiracy theories, some concerns. What is the view of the United States and Pakistan right now in terms of this ongoing crisis?
So, I mean, I think the United States and the EU and other, the UK, etc. The British Prime Minister also gave a statement that Mr. Khan's arrest is an internal matter of Pakistan. So basically, I don't think they are expressly calling for Mr. Khan's release, but they certainly have advised the government not to violate human rights, not to crack down on activists. You see, because many people, hundreds of workers of Mr. Khan's party have been arrested. I think more than 1,000 now, if I'm not mistaken. I was looking at the numbers; they keep on rising every hour, and some have been injured, as I mentioned. 6 have been killed. So obviously, watchdogs like Amnesty and Human Rights Watch have called for calming down and upholding of the human rights. But I don't think the US has a real any role to play in it. I mean, if brother, I'm not sure whether we'll digress. The US has always supported military dictators in Pakistan. I mean, that's been the history for 30 years. I mean, all 4 dictators were supported by the US in Pakistan for whatever security reasons, Cold War, so-called war on terror, etc. So I think we should not be calling for a US intervention. It could go the other way.
Understood. So, what do you think is going to happen next? Where's all this going? You followed Pakistani politics for years. You've seen horrific incidents occur. You've seen positive developments. Where is this going? Do you think? Allah knows best. But what's kind of your expectation of how this ends, or is it elections the way to get out of this? Where is this going? What do you think?
So the elections are due later this year in October, but given the changed situation, and if there's a head-on collision between Mr. Khan's supporters and the military or the law enforcement agencies, it's going to lead to more. Uh, Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong. It's going to lead to more violence, more of a crackdown against the PTI. And in these circumstances, if the situation does not really get under control, then the military could very well say that we are, imposing, or the government might just impose an emergency, and the elections may be delayed further. That's what a lot of people are fearing in Pakistan, that this democratic system might get derailed. And that is certainly, I also am afraid and worried that, this should not happen because, these are hard earned, uh, long term democratic struggles and freedoms, and we certainly don't want them to be going down the drain. So it is a fluid situation, not very positive, unfortunately. But I hope that Pakistan's ruling politicians find a way out in which democracy is not derailed, human rights are respected, and no crackdowns occur.
So the last thing I would ask you is the Pakistani people. I mean, obviously we've seen supporters of the PTI protesting. I think Imran Khan's party has won some recent local elections. In general, what's the reaction of the broader public been to this?
So the public, obviously, at the moment, Imran enjoys the support of the public. I mean, a large number of Pakistanis, especially in urban areas, are backing him. He's a bit of a populist figure. Like let's say Donald Trump or Bolsonaro, Erdogan in Turkey. I mean, he's a strong man. He has this persona of incorruptibility, which the military in Pakistan really built over the decades, and people now believe in him. And also, he's done some good things for the country. He's built a major charity hospital that treats cancer patients. He set up a university. He was a former cricketer who brought the World Cup to Pakistan, so he has a lot of that public and popular support. Uh, but at the same time, he also has to understand that he will have to play by the book, because Pakistan has a very strong military, and in this tug of war between Mr. Khan and the military, obviously the odds are not stacked in favor of him, unless you see millions of people coming to the capital like Tahrir Square in Arab Spring or something like that. Maybe then there's a chance, but that's not happening because today it was relatively quieter. The protests are fizzling out. I mean, there have been random acts of violence. So it really depends on how far his party and his workers and his cadres mobilize themselves. And then let's see if they are able to uh, mobilize themselves, then perhaps Mr. Khan may have the final say.
Well, we will see what happens, Raza. There are a lot of people, God willing, a lot of people around the world watching this very closely at our government and not only there, but also in activist circles here in the United States. So we look forward to having you back on in the future to share the latest updates. Until then, thank
Sure.
you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time, inshallah.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching this segment, and we'll be keeping you updated on what's happening in Pakistan. I know it's of concern to many of you and many people here in the country and across the Ummah. So let's pray for peace and justice for the people of Pakistan and everyone around the world. Thank you all so much. Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you.